Mirdita uniam Christa, sot pu imasoi per Gary Chapman, edhe turin e ti per pes jueve te dashuris. Did y'all catch that? I'm guessing that nobody here actually speaks Albanian, because Albanian is a very uncommon language and not a lot of people speak it. But that was Albanian, and there is a reason as to why I opened up in Albanian. And so here's the thing. Even though most of you, if not all of you, do not speak Albanian, you probably figured out what I said. First of all, by the fact that you clicked on this video with the title of Gary Chapman, probably gave away the part that I was speaking about Gary Chapman. But also you might have heard me say his name in that introduction, as well as my name, and that is Krista. And if you were looking and saw that I held up 5 fingers, and if you know anything about Gary Chapman, you know that his main theory when it comes to counseling, and not just in counseling, but just in life in general, is that there are 5 love languages that every person can be categorized into. And that is his main theory, is the theory of the 5 love languages. So that's what I'm going to be talking a lot about today, is how those love languages operate and what they mean in our relationships. And so the reason I started off the way I did is because, like a spoken language, love languages can be learned. See, when I'm talking about the love languages and how Dr. Chapman explains the theory of the love languages, it's a matter of the language that one receives. So when we refer to somebody's love language, we're referring to the language in which they receive. And in just a minute, I'm going to explain what the love languages are. But so, and oftentimes we give love differently than we receive love. But the main aspect of figuring out somebody's love language and how to speak somebody's love language to better love them in the way that they receive love the best, I guess is what I'm getting at. So you can learn a new language. You can learn a love language in the same way you can learn a spoken language. But the thing about learning a language is oftentimes you learn understanding of that language before you actually learn how to speak the language fully. And so that's how it is with the love languages. You learn more in the understanding of the language before you can grasp the whole, all there is in speaking that language. And the other thing to point out is, in these love languages, in learning someone's love language, this is not just a matter of romantic relationships, whether it be like spouse and dating relationships. This is relationships across the board. This is for with your coworkers, with your best friend, with your roommate, with your brother and your sister, with your parents. It is all across the board. These principles apply to all relationships. So I'm just gonna go into a little bit more of what the love languages mean. And so I'm not very technologically savvy, so I'm doing this the best I can. So bear with me with not being completely on it with this stuff, but we're gonna try it anyway. So, alright. So, the love languages. Each of the love languages, it's not a matter of, it is a matter of showing love, obviously, in the special times, but what the love languages really point out is how one receives love, in any day, any given moment. So these are the unsolicited, it's not asked for, but this is how to show love to someone in the way that they feel the most love. In no particular order, the languages are physical touch, acts of service, quality time, receiving gifts, and words of affirmation. So again, I'm about to go through these and give a few examples of each. But remember, it's how someone receives love. And I'll go ahead and say now that there are many, many different ways to figure out what yours or what someone else's love language is. For some people, Like, I have some friends who I can, like, in just a short time being in a friendship with them, like, I know what their love language is, because I can see both how they accept the way that I love them and how they show love. And so some people, it's just very obvious. For me, I am a very physical touch person. I touch a lot, and that doesn't matter. My coworkers point out that every time I walk behind them, I'm patting them on the back, or I'm giving them a little 3-second back scratch. And I love giving back scratches. I'm very much a giver of physical touch, and also I love receiving that physical touch, as well as the quality time that also tends to go along with the physical touch. So some people, you can just, like, figure it out just by observation and seeing how they interact with people. And a lot of times, the way someone gives love is the way they best receive it. Though sometimes it is a little bit different, and you kind of just figure that out with people. So sometimes it's observation, sometimes it's asking other people, hey, how do you think that I show love the best? Or how do you think that I receive love the best? Like, sometimes it's a matter of asking. And if that fails, or if you just want to check and see how you compare or whatever, there is the online resource. There are quizzes to take on the 5lovelanguages.com website, and there's actually a whole bunch of resources there. But the quizzes are actually they're free quizzes, open to anybody. There is to begin with, there was just a couples version and a singles version. But as of, like, in the recent weeks, I believe, they've added more resources on there. So, like, I'll talk in a little bit about the love languages, like, in the family systems. But now there's, like, a quiz on there to where a parent can give a child the quiz. And I actually tried it with my 12-year-old brother the other night. And it just does, it says, it asks the child, what would you rather hear your parents say? And then it gives 2 options for each one. So it was like, would you rather your parents say, I'm going to give you a big hug, or would you rather your parents say to you, wow, you did a great job on your project? So, and based on how they answer, you're figuring out their love language. Even when I did it with my brother the other night, it was pretty surprising. Like, I would not have guessed that his love language was words of affirmation, but based on how he responded to the questions, it came out that his primary receiving love language is words of affirmation. And so in that case, the best way to love him is to tell him, and to tell him, to give him those verbal recognitions. So I'm going to go through each of the love languages and just give a few examples of each one. And again, these are in no particular order. So words of affirmation, that is giving compliments. It's giving verbal declarations of love. Literally saying the words, I love you. Or saying things like, you did a great job, or I'm proud of you. Those are words that come across really strong for anyone, but especially for those who their primary receiving love language is words of affirmation. The next one is acts of service. So this one, it's doing housework, it's running errands, it's just doing things without being asking, to take a little bit of the burden off of the person who you're showing love to. Next one, receiving gifts, and it is specifically receiving gifts because, like I said, the main dynamic to this theory is it's the receiving language. It's showing how to speak to someone's receiving language. So that's a bouquet of flowers on a random day, not just birthday, Valentine's Day, anniversary, something. It's randomly getting them a bouquet of flowers or a box of chocolates sent to their work just because. Or it's, you see a card in the grocery store or whatever when you're walking through and you're like, oh, that totally reminds me of this person. I'm just going to get it for him just because. It's unsolicited. It's not expected. It's like out of the blue kind of receiving gifts. Quality time. This is a huge one. And it's one of the easiest. It's an afternoon walk in a park. It's watching a movie together. And for those people who are super high on the quality time, scale, which is, like I said, I'm physical touch, but quality time is like right up there with physical touch. We don't even have to be talking, but being in the same room together, that is what does it for me. Like being together. And then sometimes it is those just meaningful conversations. But a lot of it is just being together, in close proximity. Yeah, and then the last one, like I said, this is me. This is, cuddling up on the couch together. It's the back scratch or the back massage. And it's just any form of physical touch. When I talk to people, I'm constantly putting my hand on their shoulder or on their arm. Like, I'm a touchy person, and so that's just how that physical touch aspect comes in. So just to this little comical relief here, maybe this will help you get a little grasp of the love language a little bit better. It's the love language of the Chick-fil-A edition. So, words of affirmation would be, thank you for this Chick-fil-A. Acts of service, can I bring you some Chick-fil-A? Quality time, hey, let's go to Chick-fil-A together. Gifts, surprise, I got you Chick-fil-A. And physical touch, feel the Lord's chicken on your lips. I don't know about y'all, but I'm a huge Chick-fil-A fan, so any of these love languages with Chick-fil-A fit for me. I'll be okay with any of them. So maybe that'll help you just kind of get a little bit of a grasp of how the love languages and that's not really, this is just a comical thing. The next one, so this is a little clip from a TV show called Fresh Off the Boat. And actually, Dr. Chapman shared this on his Twitter feed. I think they aired it like the week of Valentine's Day or something. But in the clip, the wife is trying to figure out the best 40th birthday present to give her husband. And she's not doing a very good job. So her neighbor says, oh, you should read this book and figure out what his love language is, and that way you know how to love him best. And so that is what this clip will show. So let's see. Let's hope we can get it working right. Most of the times I practice this, it worked right, but we'll see.
What are you doing?
Fluffing your pillow to show you I care.
But I like it flat and limp. No. What's happening right now?
I'm expressing physical touch. Are you enjoying yourself?
Are you?
Good job buttering that toast. Even spread right up to the crust. Nice.
Yes, I will make you some too.
Yeah, so, obviously his love languages were not, acts of service or physical touch, or words of affirmation. And then later in the episode, she gives him a gift, and it was totally not meaningful, it meant nothing, and it was obvious that was not the right thing either. And then in the end of the episode, the family goes on a camping trip together, and he is perfectly where he wants to be, and she realizes that his love language is quality time. So that was just kind of neat that that was portrayed on an American TV show. Pretty out there. I mean, you saw that she had the book in her hand. A little bit about Gary Chapman as well. So he holds both a bachelor's and a master's in anthropology. His bachelor's, I believe it was from Wheaton College, and the master's from Wake Forest University. So he has been a studier of people, literally, for his entire career. And it was in these observations and these just studying people and learning more about people that he realized that there were these categories of how people loved each other. And a lot of his career he did, especially in the beginning, and it just continued so that way, doing a lot of couples counseling, couples therapy. working with both mainly married couples, but also doing premarital counseling as well. And that was when he just realized how much people just fit into these categories just kind of started popping up. And after doing research and doing more observations of just like the people in his office, he was able to come up with these 5 categories as to how people receive and as well how they show love. Another thing about when Dr. Chapman first began writing the original love language book, he did so with non-Christians in mind. When you read the 5 love languages book, there is not, I don't think there's any, there might be a little bit, but I don't believe there's any scripture specifically in the book. Towards the end, he does share his testimony, just like briefly as to how the Lord has been his guiding factor, and how his faith is a major part of his life. But his intention and his purpose was specifically to do it towards non-Christians, because when you write an overtly Christian book, it's very unlikely for a non-believer to have much interest in a book that is directed like completely towards Christians. So in doing it from a non-overly Christian perspective, and more of a secular wording, secular kind of perspective, he massively increased his audience. But in addition to that, he refers to the book as a pre-evangelism book. So it's one that it has enough where believers who read the book can completely see how it's biblical and see the biblical concepts and biblical principles all throughout the different love languages. And then he even goes on to write a book called God Speaks Your Love Language, just completely about how the Lord is so personal to each of us and speaks each of our love languages. But he uses the book as kind of like a bridge that will get people into reading other more biblical based books. So a couple of the different books that he has, the purple one here is that's the main one, the one that is directed specifically towards couples. Then there is a singles version, which as a single, I highly, highly, highly recommend. I loved reading it. Where I had done a lot of, I've known about the love languages for years, but just in doing this research, read the singles edition, and wow, it's great. And it doesn't only just speak to like I said, it's not a matter of just like dating relationship kind of things, but it is platonic relationships, friendships, co-workers. It's all those categories. And then the God Speaks Your Love Language that I mentioned a minute ago. And then as well, Dr. Chapman does a lot just with marriage enrichment in general. So this is one, losing your spouse, loving your spouse when it feels like when you feel like walking away, is just one in the line that he has of the non-specified love language books. But I also wanted to show you, I have a couple of the other books here. So there is the same one, it's the exact same one, well not the exact same, very similar to the original love language, but it's for men. The original one is not necessarily directed towards women, but a lot of it kind of just ends up that way. So the one for men just kind of focuses more and helps the guys out a little bit more. He also has both the love languages of children and the love languages of teenagers. And so the difference with these two, these are actually books for parents. These are not, this is not for the kids and this is not for the teens. These are for the parents to figure out and to see how your child best receives love, so that you can better to love your child, so that you better love your child. And then, like I said, so there's the quizzes online that also help with that. And then there is a version for teens, and rather than being of teens, there is a version for teens. And then another way that the concept and the principles of the love languages extends into non-romanticized or non-romantic relationships is his five languages of appreciation in the workplace. And so it's not necessarily the love languages, but it's the same categories, but it's showing it and it uses it in a way in the workplace to help with, because there's so much conflict in the workplace, and so that is a really good tool for that